Bet.
So, I'm ready when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Welcome to another session of the Jollof cast. Today is gonna be again, like I always say, it's gonna be a special episode. I always like to say this word special episode. Well, I know it's gonna be special. I feel it in my soul. So I have someone here with me today. He doesn't need any introduction of any manner. It's my boy, my man, Mr. Andre. He can introduce himself, man.
Nice to have me. Appreciate you, man. Yes, I need a little bit of an introduction, for all of you, your new viewers, the viewers that you have that I'm being introduced to that I don't know. But my name is Andre Whyte. I'm from the USA. Originally from New York City, Staten Island. Came to Europe. My first time in Europe actually was a trip with my university. We went to Italy. And when I saw Europe for the first time with my own eyes, I was just it was like starstruck. It was like kid in the candy shop. It was just all these emotions that I took over me, and I vowed to myself that I would see Europe again. Yeah. And fortunately, I grew up playing football all my life. I was able to use that gift, and it took me here to Europe, where I played professionally for about 12 years. I'm still playing. I'm still an active player, coaching as well. And I've traveled all over Europe, lived in a few places, Eastern Europe, been to Japan, played out there for a couple of years. So I'm back here in I'm back here in Budapest. And coaching a football team in Szekesfehérvár, working remotely, a little bit of a digital nomad as well. And I'm just looking at, trying to connect people and, share my experiences, share my, life experience, life story with people, and connect with people like-minded.
You saw the way you just did the introduction. Actually, for me, that's the most beautiful thing, because I always like the way someone introduces themselves.
Okay.
The way they put it out can never be the same. If I had to introduce you, I'm gonna omit so many parts of your life, because you know your life better than me. So it's actually very nice how I got to meet you, because I met you through a mutual friend in Niche Coach.
Yes.
I love the way people get to meet one another. Mm-hmm. It's very magical.
Shout out to Dennis, by the way.
Yes, shout out to Dennis. Dennis, yeah. Shout out to Dennis. So I ran into Dennis in Mishkosh when I was there back ago with a friend, and I was speaking about my podcast, and he just said to me, there is another guy from the States. He's an American football coach. Mm-hmm. He's also into the same kind of business like you, podcasting and media and all that. I just told the guy, hey man, let me see the guy. He showed me your profile on Instagram. I had to connect.
Match made in heaven.
I saw the vibe. I said, we have to meet, and then we were popping it. So we planned a meetup. We got to meet at the coffee shop, and then we start speaking about our ideas. Sure. And here we are right now having a podcast.
It's been a great thing to meet you. For the longest time, coming back to Hungary, I wanted to meet people in the space of creativity, other creatives as well. And when he hit me up and he told me about you, and I looked at your profile, I was like, yeah, this is the type of guy that I definitely want to meet, definitely want to link up. So it's a blessing that we've got to meet, and we're doing this right now. So cheers to that.
Cheers to that. So we have a couple of questions here. So me and Andre, we have been talking for the past couple of days. There's a lot of things going on in the world, so many things that cannot be discussed just by two of us. But we have our own interests, we have our own questions, we have our own things that we like to express, our own opinions. And we brought up some couple of questions. For example, I had a question which is very interesting for me, and this was the power of differences, how to embrace our differences as people. And I wanted to have this as a discussion forever with people. We are all from different backgrounds, different upbringings, different cultures, different systems. And how can we come together with all these differences and embrace it in a embrace it just embrace it without looking at somebody like a threat
Right.
or being a phobia or like being xenophobic about somebody else's ways of doing things.
Right. It's a great question. You know, me coming from the USA and embarking on this journey to obviously, find my way, find my interests, find the things that I like to do. At the same time, learning different cultures, hearing different languages, and trying to assimilate, but also at the same time understand the world that's different. Um, I mean, I'm not the oldest person, so I have a lot of learning to do, a lot of things to see. But I mean, as far as what I would say through my journey right now, it's just understanding that we may come from different backgrounds, we have different languages, different upbringings, but at the end of the day, we're all human beings,
Exactly.
And one thing that we can use to come together is to understand that we all have different tribulations and trials, but what makes us, go, or what makes things get better in life is understanding that we have to always find a way to make it better for ourselves, So that's the thing that all of us are going through, even though we have different circumstances. The common denominator is, we're all going through something, whether it be death or some health issues or financial issues, and we all have to figure out a way to get past that, get through that, to help our lives, help somebody else's life. And I think that's what we should understand
Yeah,
to help
for
us
sure.
to help us come together. What's you asked me the question, what's your perspective? You coming from a different country. Obviously, we're in Hungary.
Yeah.
We share the same
Of
tone,
course.
but this is not the common tone.
Yeah.
Skin color. So, what about you? What are your experiences thus far?
Yeah, and that's a very nice one back to me. My experiences has been coming from Cameroon initially. I mean, from Africa, but I'm originally from Cameroon. Coming to Europe with my own differences as being a black person in Europe, and I mean, for me when I was coming here, I knew that the people that I'm going to meet, they're not going to be the same like me. That's one thing that I already understood. But at the end of the day, like you said, they are human beings. They might be different. They might have different ways of behaving. So I'm a person I love to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
Adapting to a different culture is not changing my culture, but being respectful. So obviously it's been in between. Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes the going gets and going. But at the end of the day, the way I see it is that we all human beings. At the end of the day, we have different skin tones, we have different colors, we have different ways of thinking, we have different ways of expressing ourselves.
Right.
But I always look for the common denominator, like what makes us beautiful is our differences.
Right.
And everybody has to be different. It could be in a negative way or positive way, but it depends on how you perceive it. And when I see people, I try to find that beauty in them,
Mm-hmm.
rather than the surface. The surface is the color and look. I look beyond that.
Right.
So that's why I've been here for quite a long time, and I feel like it's beautiful when I see other communities, like the Jewish community, they stick together. I see the different communities, they're like the Indian communities, they're building something together. I love such things. I know how people come together with their differences and they ignore where they come from and they build something together.
Yeah.
It's always good to embrace our differences.
I think on top of that too, like when you start to go to different countries and you start to understand how other nationalities or other people do what they do, how they might process their cultures, you would actually see that there's actually a lot of similarities between religions, similarities between words that people use when they speak their certain languages, and that's one of the beautiful things for me to discover when I'm on this journey. I was in Istanbul and learning and hearing similar words from even Hungarian language to Turkish language, you
Yeah.
know, and understanding, where they, the ancient people, where they migrated from to have these certain words be similar in different cultures and different languages. It's a beautiful thing to see. So as much as we have our differences, we should realize that doesn't mean that we're opposite from one another. We're just different.
Yeah.
We have, but at the same time, there's a lot of similarities as well. I think a lot of times people look at difference as, so you're not of me.
Mm-hmm.
If you're different from me, then you're not of me. But that shouldn't be what it means, or that's not what people should understand. Difference means, we're the same blue. We're blue, but we just have different shades of blue. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Being different, being other than blue would be black, or being other than blue would be another color. But we're all the same.
Yeah.
We have differences.
Yeah, we have differences. Yeah.
So I think more and more we should, people that don't see that, people that don't feel it, maybe they see it, but people that don't feel it should start to feel it more. And I think it would help a lot of nations. It would help a lot of perspective and things of that nature, and help this world just be a better place.
For sure. And I mean, and also just to drop on what you said, it's this unaccepting of differences that causes a lot of segregation, xenophobia, racism. Because I'm not saying everyone, but when I was in South Africa, for example, it's an African country. I don't know if you heard about xenophobia in South Africa. There was an outbreak of xenophobia. It's one of the main reasons because people do not understand the differences in culture and doing things. The myopic people, they use a certain judgment and put it on all the foreigners, that they are all the same. Like if someone committed a crime and they were not specific about that particular person and their crime, they would just take that crime and put it on all foreigners. Like they are all the same,
Wow.
It's just like, for example, in the States, they look at immigrants or the Mexicans like drug dealers or cartels. But everyone from Mexico is not a drug dealer.
Exactly.
And that causes some kind of I don't know if it's xenophobia. People that don't know.
Yeah, of course.
They will start thinking, Mexicans are like drug dealers and like bad people. That's embracing people's differences.
Yeah. We call in the States we have like stereotypes, even black people have certain stereotypes among other cultures as well, but like you said, it's not what you alluded to, like it's not healthy to kind of label everybody the same just because a person from that culture, that language or whatever did a certain thing, but on top of that, as far as the xenophobia in Africa, I've always wanted to know. I've always wanted to really get the African perspective on Black Americans, because coming from the States, I have, not that I've done like an official swab or 123andMe or anything of that nature, but from the knowledge that I know, I'm like third generation Ghanaian. So my African side of my family's from Ghana, came to the States like in the 70s or something like this. And, my mother comes from this lineage. My father, he's a little bit mixed, but I've always wanted to know, like, what do Africans, being born in Africa, how do they see Americans, Black Americans? Because when you go to the States, everybody has their land or their country. Yeah. There's Polish people in the States. They know they're from Poland. Their name says they're from Poland. Chinese, whatever the case may be. If you're Italian, Spanish, but as Black people in the USA. From slavery, we've acquired our slave owner's last name, so who knows what our last name was, going back hundreds of years. You talk about disparity and you talk about the separation. I feel like there is some type of separation between Black Americans and Africans in the USA, even though we come from where you guys originate too. What is the perspective of the African towards a Black American?
That's a very good question. And some of the people out there from Africa, I feel like, and this could also be a question for you guys. And
Sure.
if you guys feel like commenting in the comment box, tell us your own perspective. I would like to know. Let's jump on this question and have a beautiful conversation. My perspective about Black Americans, it started in Germany. You know, I came to Germany when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
And I watched this movie called Kunta Kinte.
Kunta Kinte.
Yeah.
Roots.
Roots.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Roots. So I think there was a couple of episodes. It was like kind of a season. You know, it was the whole journey and then the massa and all that. Man, it was a hard movie to watch. Then I got influenced with the music. I don't know the hip hop music. Okay. And I fell in love with the style. I was a big fan of Chris Cross. You know, the way they I used to dress like that.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
So in terms of a lot of things, like Fubu, for us by us, you know, the culture, and I believe that the Black American has shown a lot of light about things that is so has given us the African people a lot of hope and opportunities to be strong in so many ways, because the journey that the Black Americans went through and up to today it's in terms of the value that they have shown to the African people is positive, is powerful. I mean, everything they have gone through, I look at it from a very beautiful perspective. Mm-hmm, yeah. I try not to look on the negative because it's everywhere. But I mean, in terms of a lot of things that are happening in the world, we attribute it to the Black community in America. For example, hip hop.
Right.
The people in Africa that are doing hip hop, they have most of them are influenced by the older generation of and hip hop guys, like the Tupacs, the KRS, and all this school. And even in terms of fashion, in terms of motivation and overcoming certain things in life, mm-hmm. we learn so much from there.
That's interesting that you say that. I mean, hip hop, for example, even in the fashion, obviously the hip hop has been, I guess, the sound, the story originates from, you know, the Black American experience, right? Yeah. Fashion is a little bit of Europe influence, of course, as well. But when we're in the USA, a lot of the things that we do, we attribute it to like our ancestors. So yeah. the sounds that we hear, the fashion, the music that we feel, we attribute it to how slaves used to conduct themselves and how they used to try to bring up a spirit that was entertaining and kind of, you know, together with the people. So is there any type of correlation between what we think is the origins of music, fashion, soul in Africa? Do you guys feel that same way? Or you feel like what we created in the States is from the States and it was just a lot of different things kind of mixed and created to create that, you know, certain type of sound, a certain type of look, a certain type of attitude?
I mean, everything has an origin, the origin where it begins. I mean, most of the enlightened people in the Black American, they know their origins. They know that they are from, they're originally, their ancestors are from Africa. Mm-hmm. Most enlightened people, I'm not saying all, but we go with the enlightened set of people. They know that everything originates from Africa, but they transformed it. You know, they made it different. They made it to be what it is known now. Mm-hmm. Because hip hop did not, or if we go into hip hop, it did not start in Africa.
Right.
You know, it started there in the States. So hip hop has been a source, not just music, has been a source of redemption. A lot of people have used hip hop to like a gateway. Sure. Like a gate. For me, I was using hip hop when I was in Germany to fight the racism that I was going through. I came to Germany in 1990.
Wow.
And now the city that I was living in, Meckenheim, we were the only Black people living in the city. And every day I would go to school with my Walkman and I would listen to Pac, talking about changes and all those things. This was Hail Mary and all these prayers. This is how I was able to fight the tribulations I was facing as a kid in Germany. Fighting 6 white dudes because they came to attack me, and I had to keep my cool. I can't fight back because they're gonna say I'm aggressive. We listened to this music. It gave us hope.
Wow.
I use it to build my strength as a kid. Every day was a war for me. Because I had to go to school, I had to face these people every day for 4 years.
Wow.
So I feel like we need to give credit where it's due. As much as we have done a lot of things, it's not about comparing, but it's about and giving credits and say, hey man, you guys have done a great job. Let's come together and see how we can make this. We can share our just like now we are doing what we are doing right now. You're from the States, I'm from Africa, but you come in with so many different experiences how things are being done at that side.
Yeah.
And I come in probably my own African experiences, and we put it together and we can push it. Because I feel like many people don't look at it from that perspective, like the contribution to the black. Well, I don't want to say Black Americans. I say to the black race, the contribution to the black race.
Right.
It's more about the black race. As a black person, I'm proud when I hear, for example, Lil Wayne and taking an award. I don't look at it like he's an American. That's my black brother. He puts me on the pedestal.
Right.
If Burna Boy is doing something, I say, man, that's my black brother.
Yeah,
doing something great.
We're gonna claim him soon too.
Nah.
The USA about to claim Burna Boy because he's killing. He's making a killing. Shout out to Burna Boy, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Burna Boy.
He's doing his thing, man. He's doing his thing. No, that's really interesting. Contrary to popular belief, well, I don't know if it's popular belief, but well, it is popular belief. The belief is that a lot of or most black people go through this racism experience. Whether you're from the States or whether you're from abroad, but in my experience, and this is why I'm very interested in other walks of life, different people's experiences, is because oddly enough, I've never really experienced racism. Now,
for real,
I brought this topic up to many of my friends that are black, of course, even my brother. From time to time, we speak about this topic. Now, as far as I'm concerned, straight up in my face, racism hasn't happened to me yet, or it just won't. I don't know what the case may be. Maybe I'm in the right place at the right time. You know what I'm saying? So, my question to you is, how have you experienced this? Because you kind of alluded to this being in Germany. Yeah. Has it been a moment in time, or do you feel like this is something that is very prevalent now in this day and age, even being in another country now in Hungary?
I think now, back in the days when I grew up in Germany, it was different. It was more verbal. They'll call you nigger, du nigger. They'll say blatantly in your face.
Right, in Germany?
Yeah, of course. They'll say, hey, du nigger, wie geht's dir? I mean, that was different. It was back in the 90s. But now the racism has changed in form, in different racism. See, how do I see it? Please, I'm better to differ because this is my opinion.
Right.
I think that racism is in different forms. I feel like if a Caucasian person looks at me and loves me or likes me because of the color of my skin, that's racism. That's only racism.
Repeat that again? Speak up for the people in the back.
if a Caucasian person likes me because of the color of my skin, that's only racism. It starts there. You shouldn't like somebody because of the color. That's it. I mean, you can like me because of my color, but I mean, if that's the only thing that you like me.
What's drawing you to me is because I'm black.
Yeah, it's weird.
Some people, and that's interesting that you bring that up as the first point, because I've heard this term called positive racism. Like, what does that mean? that means exactly what you were saying. You are attracted to me because of the color of my skin. So it's like, what's your type? Black people.
And that is.
Kind of how I know.
I had this conversation with a friend of mine, and that is such a. My opinion again. I like to express myself. I bet the people. If
So
they
I
are,
have experienced this, but positive racism. I've experienced positive racism.
well,
whatever the case that is, whatever that is.
it is some kind of positive racism, but then it's still racism at the end of the day. Well, if somebody says to me, "I like you because you're black," I love you because you're black. I have this mindset that okay, then there's nothing about me that makes me so special. You know, because you did not mention my characteristics. You just love. So you just love the whole black people, even the bad one or whatever. You don't even check the person's character. You just love black people.
Right.
So it's racism in a kind of way, you know. And so like, again, I feel like most of the people that have this mindset is because they are ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and they don't understand what it means. Is it wrong? Because the people always twist information. They say, is it wrong for me to like a person because of the color tone? It is wrong for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say the same, because slow word thinking is like, okay, if we break it down, the reason why they're saying this is because of this. But okay, the consensus says all black people can dance, all black people dress well, all black people are cool, and all black people are athletic. But that's not the case. There's some black people that can't sing. There's some black people that can't dance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're generalizing a group of people based off of the attributes that are supposed to be like synonymous with the color of their skin, it really makes no sense. And we're not trying to acknowledge, or we're not trying to appreciate the person or what's inside. We're saying, oh, that person's black, that person must be an amazing athlete, because then what it creates is the opposite, the polar effect. So if this person doesn't live up to your expectation because of the color of their skin, so now they're bullshit. They're nobody.
Yeah.
So it is a slippery slope. I think it's dangerous.
It is dangerous. It could end up dangerously because I think it's also a form of confusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's something new. If somebody say I love you because of the color of your skin, and I think most of the people have not processed this new. They have never come in contact with a black person, and
Mm-hmm.
they see it, and they see the things they do, or they say, oh, this is a different culture, different set of people that we were meant not to like.
Right.
And I feel like at the end of the day, if someone engages with a person that likes you just because of the color of your skin, it always ends up catastrophic most of the time.
True.
Yeah, it ends up catastrophic because
I can see that.
It comes from confusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, as you speak about that, me saying that I haven't experienced any type of racism, maybe it's just something that something that's just not on the forefront. Maybe there's things that happen that, transpire, but I'm either looking past it, or not that I'm trying to invoke any type of this energy upon myself, but, as you bring up that point, I know I've been in situations, whether it be relationships or people that you meet through passing, that are just like, oh, you're so cool. And it's like, why? You don't even know me. Oh, because black. You're black. You're from the States. It's like, okay, but I could be I could be a crazy person. You know what I'm saying? So it does kind of beg the question, like, what do you like me for? But I feel like inward thinking, should it matter? Like, should it matter if someone likes you because you're a black person? Is it that dangerous? What do you think?
It is not at all. And this is what I just wanted to add to this question.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Germany with a German family, with a white family. Yeah. and they didn't like me because of my color. They just liked me because of the experiences I went through and the difficulties I was facing in the German society. It was very difficult for me to adapt because I was a hothead. I didn't like anyone to mention my color. I didn't like that. It triggered me. Well, I hated it from a child. I hated it from childhood. And when I was sidelined because of the color of my skin, I was I would beat up my teacher, man. I was very triggered when somebody ever tried to say something that was in terms of my color. I didn't just like it.
Wow.
And this family that I grew up with, I got to know their son. He was in the same class with me, and then because of my aggressive nature, I had to repeat the class. And he went ahead. He saw what I was going through the whole time, and then he just liked me. And he took me home one day. The mom saw me, started speaking to me about my experiences, how I'm handling the racism situations, and the whole family, they were trying to support me. He had an elder sister and a younger brother as well. So they took me in, they asked me if I want to come and spend some nights here. So I went there. I spent most of my time there, and they wanted to adopt me.
Wow.
They said and they just genuinely liked me as a person. They never ever made me feel like I was black. I was always shown love.
Right.
So the same way she treats her son, she treat me the same way. So and that form of love is pure.
Right.
So they are part of my. I want to send a shout out to my half brother and Henning, man. Henning, a shout out to you, man. And to Hans, my stepfather, he's of late, but he's so rest in great peace.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, man, this family really showed me love. This is when my life story in Germany started to change. The transition, and I got to know people that they love people genuinely for who they are.
Right.
Got to know you, not because of your skin pigmentation and all that shit.
Yeah. You know, I have a very similar story, to be honest with you. You know, coming from New York City, where it's, you know, predominantly Black, Hispanic, you know, Middle Eastern, and those types of cultures. At least where I was born and where I was brought up, you know, it was very kind of, you know, the minorities lived there for the most part. But I moved to Vermont when I was around 10 years old, 11 years old, and from New York to Vermont is like literally black and white. You know, Vermont is predominantly white. I think in my high school, there was just another black family, just us and another black family. And but still, I didn't experience any type of weird situations in school, you know, but I did have, you know, white families, especially, you know, the guys that I grew up with, playing basketball and football with, who, you know, always invited me over to the house, treated me like a son. Shout out to Laura, Tom Clark, Johnny, Scott, Emerson. They just, you know, they treated me well. They showed me new things, you know, how to snowboard, how to fish, how to, you know, do things at the lake, you know, swim and things like this. So I have a great gratitude for, you know, people like that. But I think maybe, you know, because I had this experience, it showed me or gave me a different lens of the world, so that when I went out to the world, I wasn't like looking over my shoulder all the time, you know, because I knew that, okay, black people, I identify with them because they're my people, but with whites or other people, they can be just as friendly or just as welcoming, you know. So I think that energy that I was given, I was able to put out, and, you know, it shaped my experiences coming even to Europe, you know, because I would say I've had an amazing and positive experience for the most part being here in Europe.
I mean, that's very important.
Yeah.
What I would like to know from you, which is also a very important question, do some Americans feel or think they are better than African?
You know, I'm about to take a drink for this. Hold on.
No, man, I've been meaning to know this question.
You know, it's a very loaded. I don't know. Maybe it's not a loaded question, but it's quite intricate, because when you say better, I don't think, and I mean, I can't speak for the whole general population, but, you know, when we were growing up, we used to have these silly phrases that we would call people to insult them. Like, for example, we used to call people that we were picking on, like, African booty scratcher. Like, stupid things like that. Now, is that to say that we think we're better than Africans? I don't think that's the case.
Mhm.
I just feel like because of, and this kind of draws back to what we were talking about in the beginning, because of this separation, we know we're looking at each other and we know we're the same, but there's this big wall between us, and we don't really know how to get over it. So the only thing that we can do it's kind of like when you see a girl and you like her and you start like poking at her because you're flirting with her, but you don't really know how to be like, hey, what's up? I would like to get to know you. You know what I'm saying? So you like throw insults or, I'll try to undermine her. Maybe that is the thing. We say African in terms that we use even when we're trying to maybe downgrade something, but we're saying it to be like, we acknowledge who you are, or we acknowledge who we are. Let's try to come together. So I wouldn't say we don't think that we're better than them. I think it's on the opposite, actually. I feel like, and I can be honest and say that this has been a personal experience of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you get older and you understand how things work, and you understand how the world is, you see different things. You understand that Africans are quite enterprising. They're very intelligent. They travel, and they're African, and they have this badge, So it's a little bit, actually a little bit of a inferiority that we might hold towards our ancestral counterparts, because they have something that we want. They have the badge of saying, okay, where you from? I'm from Kenya. I'm from Cameroon. I'm from Ghana. I'm from Nigeria. And when you ask a Black American, where's your ancestry? It's like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So that could create some type of, maybe some type of, what's the word? Animosity in a way, you know what I'm saying? But like I was saying before, we acknowledge you, we're one, but we're trying to like kind of say, hey, acknowledge us too, or let's come together so that we understand where we come from. So we throw insults, or we say African booty scratcher to demean somebody. But would you demean someone by saying you're African? Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Are you trying to big them up, or are you trying to put them down? So yeah, I don't think it's a case of us thinking that we're better than Africans. Americans, definitely. I don't think that's the case at all.
I also think that I feel like some of the establishments, mm-hmm. they also trigger this wall between is there any difference between people that identify as African Americans and Black Americans? Or some people decide to say I'm an African American, and some say no, I'm Black American.
Well, I think that would just have to do with lineage, and if you know that your family, you could be first generation African in America. You know what I'm saying? So your parents could have came from said country from Africa. They moved to the States, and they had the child. So that person's like, I'm African American. Like when I go home, we're speaking French. Like when I go home, we're speaking, a language that's different from English and anything else that's going on. So I can identify as being African American, just like Polish American, Italian American, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you have no idea where your great grandfather, grandmother came from, so you would probably identify more as Black American. And I think this is probably like a new trend to say, I'm not African American, I'm Black American. And not that tries to diminish you being from Africa ultimately, but it's just like, I don't know where I'm from. I don't know where I'm from in Africa, so I'm just gonna kind of just like cut to the chase and say I'm Black American. You know what I'm saying? And that could create some type of disparity too, but I don't know. To be honest, I haven't really been on the grounds of the States and at understanding how people interact in that space to know, because to be honest with you, the very first time I actually hung out with an African person was in Europe. The very first time I actually like fellowshipped with someone from Africa was in Europe. And immediately I was just like blown away. I was just like, wow, like I want more of this. I want to be surrounded by more of these, more of these people. Not saying I don't want to be around my American counterparts, but it made me feel something different because I'm starting to extract and I'm starting to feel like what does it mean to be African? It just means you're African. You're just another person. You're from a different country. We share the same skin tone. We have different backgrounds and belief systems, of course, but we're still all the same people. So it was great to see and it's great to experience. But I don't know.
Yeah, I share the same. I share the same sentiments with you.
Mm-hmm.
From coming from Africa and collaborating with my fellow Black Americans, it's the most beautiful thing. We complement each other at the end of the day.
Agreed.
Yeah, like just the way I was saying to you last time, we fight about silly things. Because at the end of the day, if there's a genocide here, they say kill all the Black people in Europe. But no one's coming to you and asking you, are you from America? This way. Are you from Africa? This way. we are all going to be killed. Mm-hmm. So it's better for us to even come together and it will be nice because we can also learn to and know the differences and share this information with people that are ignorant.
Definitely.
That's also something that I feel like if there was a Black community in Hungary and where we could meet twice a week or once a week and we come there, a Black community, a Black center where we have workshops, we can network, we can see what everyone is doing here, what are you busy doing, or creatives or something. Mm-hmm. If somebody needs help, we have a community that we can meet once in a while. We get to share our differences and embrace it. Because this information that you're sharing, there are a lot of people out there from Africa probably they like to meet you and say, hey man, my Black brother from America. Let's kick it.
I agree. I think that is huge. I think that might be the factor between us coming together and understanding that we wanted to come together. We want to come together or not because not enough of us are doing things together or having some type of outreach, or sometimes you even walk past somebody, not that you should always like look at someone Black on the street and be like, hey brother, like, because when you go home or we get in the state, nobody cares. Like, you're just walking past each other. But if you understand that we're a very small population in these places in the world, there could be something to say about us doing things together, and I'm always for that, So I spent time in Warsaw. I lived there for about 4.5 years, and a friend of mine back in the day, well, a couple of friends of mine actually, but one was from the States, one was from Senegal, another one was from Liberia. We came together and we put on events. We had private parties. My friend from Senegal, he loved cooking fish, so he would, make these fish dinners and things like this. And it was really nice to see. And once we started doing this, we started to discover that there were more Africans in the city and more Black Americans in the city or African Americans in the city. And we started to come together, and it was nice to see how we all could collaborate and do things together and have a really nice vibe, but also share and attract, Polish people even, or people from other countries to come to our events. So I think it's a great thing. I think it's something that I'm definitely interested in as well, being here in Budapest. And I'm quite new to the area. I'm, looking for ways and ideas to do things. Meeting you, of course, is like definitely a step in the right direction, I would say. So I'm definitely for those things.
And you could also be the link for the Black Americans, right? I feel like you know a lot of African Americans here, so you could always be the bridge, and I could be the bridge for the Africans. We could connect the synergies and see how we take it from there.
Yeah, on top of that too, we have, me being in the sports field, American football, as you know, is a huge thing in the States, and we bring players from the USA or other countries, and the majority of them are Black when they come from the USA. And it would be really nice to have this type of community going for guys who come here and are looking for things to do outside of sports. Like I was someone who I love sports. I'm not gonna say that I hate, I don't like sports, but I don't want to do sports all day. I want to talk about something different. I want to be around different type of people. I want to experience and do different activities other than sports. So this is why I got into the things that I got into when I lived in Warsaw, and this is what I want to do here, even so, because it broadens your horizon. It allows you to do different things, meet different people, and that's essential to being in another place. Away from home, you want to have a community. So I agree, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, man. So away from all this and these topics, but we're getting back there.
Yeah.
Just so I want to throw a little bit of salt because I think,
some salt.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit of salt into the into the soup.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but this is more of your question.
Okay.
The power of omission.
Mm.
But I like it the way you presented it.
Yeah, so there was this topic that I can't really describe it verbatim, but there was a phrase or a theme that came up, and it was really just on my mind, and the theme was, is omission a lie? Is leaving things out of a message a lie? So I was like, I wonder, this would be a good thing to talk about, check out, because a lie is a lie. Like on the basis of it all, a lie is a lie. So, but people from different cultures, people from different walks of life, people from different backgrounds, perspective, might view the way something can be a lie.
Yeah.
In that case, omission. So the lady in this talk, she was saying, if you're leaving information out that has to do with the subject, then you're lying. And the man and another lady in the panel too, they were saying, no, I'm telling you what you need to know, or I'm telling you what I want you to know. Right? If you want to know more information, then ask the right or appropriate questions. But if I'm leaving something out, then it's not a lie, because I'm not saying it did or didn't happen, because you didn't ask me about this specific thing. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. What do you think?
Oh man, this is a very good question, but it's also very, and I think it's also very broad, because you mentioned culture.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I look at it. In Cameroon, omission is not a lie, and I look at it from this way, and we are raised up in a society where you cannot share so much with people because it's dangerous, it's delicate. People are out there to hurt you. Mm-hmm. They might use your information to commit witchcraft, or that's how we were raised. My parents, they don't, like back in the days. Now it's different. Back in the days, if somebody was, for example, traveling to Europe, they never announced it. You could be with your friend and you're traveling to Europe the next day, but I don't tell you that I'm traveling to Europe. You understand? That's omission. We're talking about everything, but I'm not telling you. So the reason why I might not share this information with you because I don't know what you might do with it. You might be jealous of the fact that I'm traveling, and you might want to hurt me or harm me or kill me due to that jealousy. So the power of omission is appropriate in that situation. But I know that in Europe, most Europeans are very open. They talk about everything. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But we were not raised like that. I was not raised like to speak about everything of mine. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So I don't look at omission like a lie. It depends on the perspective. If I'm in a relationship with a person and we have been open with one another from the beginning, and we are in a stage in a relationship where it's we have been sharing so much about ourselves. We're already deep invested in a relationship. Then the power of omission might come across like a lie, because if I already know that person so well and I feel like this information I'm going to share with them will be safe, mm-hmm. They're not going to use it to twist it around or to hurt me with it, then I have no issue being open. Right. But I think also omission depends on who you're talking to.
That's true too.
It depends on really who you're talking to.
Yeah.
I will not meet somebody the first day, any Tom and Harry, and share my whole life with them. Nah. And even certain questions they might ask me, I will say it's not your business. It's not your business. I don't want to share with you.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that because it's my personal experiences and it's my personal life. And I don't think it's a lie. It might come across to you like a lie because you don't
You don't have the information.
You don't have the information, or you want to force me to tell you my information. But it's if I tell you that I don't feel comfortable talking about it, that's the power of omission, and it's not a lie.
Sure.
I just don't. I might not be comfortable with you yet to share this information because it carries so much weight.
Right.
Or I might feel like you might use this information to judge me, and I'm not in a mood for you to judge me. So it really depends because you also said that dark
thoughts.
Yeah. Dark thoughts. So it's very specific. Dark thought is like bad experiences, right?
Bad experiences or bad things that you want to do.
Yes,
things like this.
Yeah. So in this case, the power of omission is very important because people are not the same.
Sure.
For you to share your dark thoughts or dark experiences with somebody, it must be someone that is genuinely good and reliable. Because information is what builds the world.
Right.
Sharing so much information about you can have negative consequences.
That's very true.
You can share. You see, man. Somebody might have. For example, somebody might be may have committed a crime and he has paid for it. You understand? He has done his term, he has done whatever he had to do, and he has changed his life around. And he comes to you and he tells you, "Hey, man." For example, he's going to look for a job, and he tells you, "Hey, man, I used to be like this. I've committed this crime back in the past, and I went to jail for this amount." And he tells you this information. If you use this information, you go tell somebody else, and people start looking at him from a different perspective. Right. But you don't know his entire story. So he just gave you that part, and then you run with it. So the power of omission is a very delicate topic.
Delicate.
Yeah, but in my opinion, I don't look at the power of omission like a lie.
Right. Often, we talk about experiences, differences, not experiences, but similarities and differences. Like, there's so many layers to this because when I was growing up, I don't know if you call it, in the States you call it a black thing, but obviously there's white families and Chinese families, whoever the case may be, that probably follow the same type of creed. And that creed is, mind your business. You got your business, I got my business. Even within a family is adult business and children's business. Yeah. And our businesses are not in line, they're not the same. So a parent could tell their child some information, but they're gonna leave out information that has nothing to do with the child. You know what I'm saying? Because it's grown folks' business and it's children's business. So in that regard, a mission versus a lie, it's tough, because on one hand, you could also omit things to help someone get over some certain information or some certain circumstance. And like you said, either because you're afraid of what they might do, so you might omit something, or you could be afraid of how their feelings could be hurt or anything. But I agree. A mission is not a lie, and if you want to gain more information, then ask more questions. Some people rely on people because they may be open. They rely on people to be the same open. But if I'm not brought up like that and I don't operate like that, then you can't assume me to be as open as you. So I thought that was an interesting topic, and that's why I brought it up.
So just to capture, sometimes I speak about my experiences. Maybe this is the point where I'm not omitting something. I'm putting it out there. But it's about my experiences. I'm comfortable speaking about my experiences.
Exactly. Me too. Like, for example, I actually fell. I I don't know if I fell victim to it,
Uh-huh.
but in hindsight, it probably didn't do me the best benefit in being totally open. You know, I was going through a weird time in my life a few years ago, and the people that I thought were like down for me, you know, I opened up, I created a group chat because they're all in, you know, different parts of the city and things like that, and I wanted to just express to them how sorry I was for acting a certain way at one of the events that we organized or that I organized. And
Yeah.
I wasn't acting crazy or anything, but I was just a little bit of a, I guess you can say like a downer. I was a little bit of nervous, and I probably treated people weirdly. Like I was maybe a little bit reclusive. I wasn't out and upbeat as I'm usually am. So I wanted to just say, hey guys, I'm sorry for the way that I acted. If it was any type of offense to you all, I'm sorry. I'm going through some things right now mentally, and I don't want that to get in the way of our collaborations and our work that we do. And to my surprise, the response was totally unwelcoming. It was like, oh, that's too much information. Like, keep that to yourself. And I was only just trying to be open with the people that I thought was like down for me.
Yeah.
So at that moment, I was like, damn, maybe I should keep things to myself. You know what I'm saying? Because shit. On the other hand, too, maybe people don't even want to hear it.
Yeah.
You know, they think that you might be unloading on them, or they don't want to have that information for themselves because they don't know what to do with it. So
Exactly.
that could be another reason why you can omit and keep things for yourself. You know, because of my experience with that, I understand that could be one of the factors as well. So, yeah, you know, in the dark thoughts thing, I talked to you about the, you know, sharing the dark thoughts. You don't know whether it's a appropriate time to do it with somebody because you might not know that person, or or your dark thoughts could trigger something else in somebody too that might be unwelcoming or might be harmful for them. So it's tough. It's tough because ultimately you want to. I'm speaking from my experience or my perspective. Ultimately, I think people should want to congregate and be connected on many levels and be able to share things with each other, not just to unload, but to try to come to solutions and suggestions and ideas and visions. But it seems like people are so guarded. A lot of people are so guarded. They don't even want to share, or they're so closed. They don't want to have anything shared with them. So it leaves the atmosphere a lot of times very cloudy, you know.
Yeah, but I think also it's due to the reasons that they have experienced. Their experiences from the past, just like you said that, and you try to open up with your peers in Poland, and they were not receptive of your information, and this makes you guarded, right?
Yeah.
It makes you put a wall because you don't. Probably you feel like, okay, maybe I should start keeping my information for myself. I feel like a lot of people also come with this reasoning.
Yeah.
Like they have had bad experiences in the past and they don't want to share so much information anymore, and they are closed up due to the experiences they have had, and they were in a bad spot. They went through different feelings and emotions, and maybe they're now guarded.
Sure.
I had an experience in the past. I had a relationship with a girl, and she was a how can I say, she was like a sex worker. Honestly, she was she was doing things for money. Let's say like that. But she didn't tell me at the beginning, so that's admission, right?
Wow.
That's
a mission,
and after we had this conversation, after I found out, because it was the information she shared with me that she was a dentist and she was doing this dentist work, and there was a time that I asked her, can my friend come to you and do his teeth?
Wow.
You know, because he's going through a lot of pain. Could you help him? Because since you're my girlfriend, maybe you can advise. that's when the truth started coming out. I put her down. Let's have a chat, and she told me why she didn't tell me from the beginning.
Wow.
She said she felt like she was gonna lose me. She was not gonna be in a relationship with me, and she fell in love with me, and she liked the way I was. And at that point, I felt betrayed a little bit, because we had already gone through a very lengthy frame in our relationship.
Wow.
I felt like but at the end of the day, to be honest with you, where from in hindsight, looking at it from my perspective right now, she was a genuine person. She genuinely what she told me it came from a genuine point. She was afraid though that if she would have told me from the beginning I would have not been with her. That's true.
I was going to ask you that. If she would have told you in the beginning, what would you have decided to do? Would you have been with her or would you have not?
No.
Why?
Because she was a good person. She was kind. She was compassionate. She was a good listener. She was she was a good person, and the reason why she was doing this job is because of circumstances. She explained everything to me. Why she's doing this, and from a human perspective, I felt empathy.
I got you.
Understand? I know people are gonna say, "Oh no." From a human perspective, I felt empathy for her that she's doing this, and she was looking for a way to get out of that world. I said, okay, maybe I can help her, but sometimes I feel like God uses us to bring us closer to people to help.
Sure.
We never know why.
Give them a different way.
Yeah,
show them a different way.
Because if we sometimes we are all shit. We are some kind of shit, we are all lost. No one is like has got all their shit together. A lot of people. It's just when you get closer to people, you discover a lot of things. I mean, we ended the relationship amicably, not due to the situation she had, but then it ended up due to differences. He had a different vision, I had a different vision, and then we parted ways. But that's also the power of permission.
That's tough.
It is.
That's tough.
I mean, it happens. It's life. Yeah, man.
I don't have such a experience with that, so I can't really relate. But I can only imagine.
But I feel like in terms of maybe if you want to do business with someone, for example, if you're going to collaborate with somebody and you want to do a business with somebody, I feel like if you guys at least and have a good partnership and you have a vision for where you want this business to go, I think in that situation people should be very and blatantly honest with one another.
Sure.
Especially if they want something long term. My own perspective, for example, if I'm doing business with somebody, I feel like that person would be family to me at the end of the day. Because it's not just business. We're gonna spend so much time together.
Sure.
Let's get beyond business and also know the other side of ourselves. Maybe the day that I'm not going to be in a bad mood, or maybe I'm going through some situations in life, you might be my fountain of strength. Not just business, but I mean, you might be, because life is tough out there, man.
True indeed.
That is.
I have the same approach. I mean, it's not on the same time frame or even framework as business, but I feel like even in sports, if you're dealing with coaches, if you're dealing with players, especially, you should try to engage with the person, not the athlete. So obviously that's important, no, not the coach, but with the person, because you're working together. You're trying to ultimately achieve a certain goal together, a common goal together. So just thinking that someone's your teammate and that's your football teammate or your basketball teammate or your soccer teammate, it's not enough. You got to get to know that person, Obviously, if it's just for a season or a few months, you're not going to disclose everything that you
Yeah.
know or everything that you want to do, but you should try to get to connect with that person on a more human level, on a more personal level, and I think that goes a long way, definitely, in anything, in business and sports and your office, you know, everything. Connecting with that person and connecting with someone on a deeper level than on the surface, I think goes a long way.
For sure.
For sure.
And I mean, it helps in so many ways because nowadays I feel like the world is so materialistic right now.
Yeah.
We're in a stage where everything is just about money, and people forget to see what is beyond money, like the beauty of the humanity, the beauty of mankind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most beautiful thing. There's nothing beautiful more than just seeing you being happy and being healthy and doing your thing, and forgetting whether you're having a Ferrari or having assets or what, forgetting all those things, just seeing a person,
Right.
Not just business, but understanding what someone's going through, man. How are you coping in life? What is, because this is real things. These are real emotions out there, man. Because there are a lot of things that you're going through in life that might help you to cope, or maybe you've learned already a coping mechanism, and I don't have that tool. You could share how you deal with your depression.
Sure.
Maybe when you have anxiety attacks, how do you deal with it? I might use the same methods that you're trying for yourself, and it works for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Sure indeed.
There was another question that there's another question that you had that I really like as well. It was what was that again?
The peace and war.
Yeah, the peace and war in Africa.
No, that's two parts. So the one was, at what point is being peaceful not enough, and war is the only measure, and then the other one was, what's the state of the world, and are these frequent natural disasters normal, or we are about to approach a certain time in Earth's history?
What when being peaceful is not enough?
Oh,
that is a good one.
This is very true to my heart. Let me tell you why. Okay, this kind of lightens up the situation, or the kind of lightens up the talk initially, because people are gonna be like, "What?" But I'm not like a true believer in afterlives and past lives and stuff like this. But I don't know, for some reason, every time I watch a war movie, every time I watch, hold on. Every time I watch an ancient war movie, and it has to do with like a warlord, or it has to do with some type of dispute where tribes come together. I feel like I was a warrior back in the day. I was a warrior, a warlord. I was a samurai at one time. I love these things, and it makes me feel connected in some type of way. So, now we're in this day and age where war is a very delicate topic. Because you don't just have war like that. Because there's so many things that have to go into consideration. Not that it didn't have many considerations back in the day, but back in the day, it was more of like a black and white thing. Like, we're gonna conquer you, and we don't care. Like, because we're trying to expand our territory and our bloodlines and things like that. So, obviously, I'm not talking about war, but I'm talking about like confrontation.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about letting people know what they need to know or what they need to understand. When is it appropriate to go to war? When is it appropriate to really be confrontational versus peace? Because a lot of times people take advantage of the person that's nice, and that's like, okay, I'll let it be swept under the rug. Okay, I see that you're disrespecting me, I'll let it be swept under the rug. Okay, I see that you're really trying to disrespect me, I'll let it be swept under the rug. When is it time to go to bat for yourself? When is it time, or when is it appropriate to go and be confrontational?
it's a beautiful frame of question.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think that the time to go to war is when somebody crosses the boundary multiple times. I have certain boundaries. It depends, you know. Like there are certain things you do. I let it slide. There are certain boundaries I have in place that if somebody crosses that, then we go to war. I come out and say, man, you shouldn't have done that. You know?
Right.
But there are certain things that you might do. I might say, okay, maybe you're acting out of ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I try to see if you're gonna do it again the second time. For the first time might be ignorant, the second time might be intentional. You know?
Right.
Then, if I see the way you do it again the second time, I might approach you and say, man, I didn't like the way you did this or that. You know, and then I'll be a little bit stern with you. You know, we're gonna have that talk. But you do it again the third time after I've told you, then probably we might go to war.
Got you. When do you think it's appropriate to go to war when money is involved, or when money is at stake, or when there's a chance of you losing a brand, or when it's a chance of you losing some type of revenue?
Like in terms of the figure, the amount, or
yeah, not even an amount, but just if you choose to confront someone, or if you choose to confront somebody or some type of organization, you know that's probably going to cost you your livelihood, because you might lose that money that you're getting from this entity.
Yeah.
You know, when is it appropriate, do you think, then to, or if any time, to say something to these people, if they're disrespecting you, if they're exploiting you, if they're, you know, degrading you, putting you down, or they're not appreciating you?
I mean, for me at this point, we'll have a family. You know, any money that any business I do, anyone, and I have done the work and you don't pay me, it's war. But it's not just me. If I was just by myself, I don't mind. I say, depending on the amount, I let it slide. You know, maybe I don't want to lose time and energy fighting. Let me just keep going. But right now, I don't mind losing that time and energy, because it's much more at stake. I don't put myself anymore first place. I have a family, man.
Right.
I gotta take care of I have to provide for my family. So if there's any organization out there that probably does anything exploitatively, and they don't come through on the onside, I think it doesn't matter the amount. It's about the ethics.
Got you.
Yeah. So it's going to be war, man.
I got you.
I don't know. What about you? What do you think about this?
I mean, I feel like
I want to know your.
I'll be honest. I told you. I gave you a premise. That I have a very close connection with the warriors of old. I'm a very confrontational person. I'm very militant, I guess you could say. Not that I show it every day, because I would say the stakes aren't high enough for me to become militant. I guess I don't think I feel so violated, or I feel so disrespected at any point in time where I have to like draw up arms. Not draw up arms literally, but in a figurative sense, to go at war with somebody. But I think about it a lot, because you can compound disrespect and say, okay, well, if I project this happening right now to a year from now, there's going to be some problems, right? So do I get ready for that, or do I let it slide? So for me, I'm with you. I think you have to draw the boundaries. I think you have to set those standards and set those limits. And once those are crossed, give forewarning. I'm not a believer, even though I'm very confrontational. I would give warning before I get confrontational, because it's like, okay, I understand what's happening here. Don't think that I'm dumb, right? I understand what's going on right here. I'm giving you a warning that I see it. So it's up to you to continue or not. If you continue, then you should. Maybe I'll give you another warning. Okay, you know. But if you can continue, then anything that happens at that point when you cross the boundary, right? Then you should understand. You should expect. You should realize this is what you brought onto yourself, or whatever the case may be. So I do agree with that. The boundaries, and then when it has to do with Now I'm not only protecting myself, I'm protecting my family. You know, I don't have a family yet. But if it was like my brother or my sister or my mother, of course, then that's also within that framework. So, yeah, I would say the same thing. Once you cross a boundary, because I'm quite peaceful too, then there's no issue. You know, we don't have an issue. But I don't believe it's hard for me to see exploitation. It's hard for me to see all these things happening to not only individuals but groups of people, you know, that are getting exploited or getting disrespected, and they don't draw up arms, they don't show any confrontation, they're very peaceful all the time. And it's like, okay, well, when is the tipping point? You know, when is the tipping point? And when is it time to let people who exploit, who undermine, or who disrespect, when is it time for them to know what they're doing? You know, because anyone who's doing these things will continue doing it over and over and over until you check them.
Exactly.
You know, so it's always been a thought of mine, and I wanted to bring it to you because you might have you come from a different area, and it's cool to see, or it's interesting to see how these terms, war, peace, and collaboration are actually understood in different places in the world. So, yeah.
I like the way you present it. Mm-hmm. If we even take it, let's even take it very myopic, very petty. Mm-hmm. For example, like somebody comes to your house and you tell them very kindly and peacefully, please, can you take off your shoes? And the person knows that, okay, I need to take off my shoes to come into this person's house. That's his way of living. I take it off, I come in. So, and I come again to your house the next time, and I don't take off my shoes. I walk in your apartment with my shoes on. You let it slide, you know. It's a little bit disrespectful from my point, because from the first day I should have noticed that, you know, this person doesn't, you know. And if I come again the third time and still don't take off my shoes, and you tell me, amen, see. So I think that they you know, that's a little bit being crossing the line, you know. It might look petty, but it starts from there.
It's crazy, and it's, you know, this topic brings me to another topic, and this is something that I struggle with all the time. Now, I'm 34 years old, but like I mentioned before, there's still a lot of things that I have to understand. Not that I don't get it or even understand it, but it's a lot of things that I still can't accept. And one of the things I can't accept right now, I guess, is the lack of consideration that people have. For example, if you told me, if you know that you should take your shoes off, because I asked you to do it the first time and you don't do it, I'm wrong. I'm wrong for assuming that you should understand that you should take your shoes off. So let me point this in another picture. When it comes to money, when it comes to business, a lot of times in, let's say, Fortune 500 companies, this employee has been working for 5 years, 10 years, and this employee has been putting their blood, sweat, and tears into this company, blah, 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 blah. But when let's say their 5-year review comes, this person is very, calm person, not confrontational person, very just, chilled, and just wants to help, right?
Yeah.
So their 5-year review comes, and now they have a family, and they got to take care of their family, and it's been 5 years that they're in the company now, but they don't ask for a big bonus or a big increment in their salary, because they're like a team player, let's say. Yeah. They're a team player, right? But let's say 2 years down the road after their 5 years, so now they're like 7 years in, and things start to change. Economy goes crazy, and their rent skyrockets, and their children's expenses increase, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that person is like, damn, I need more money. I'm gonna go to my company and say, hey, company, I need you guys to increase my pay, and it's gonna be by a lot. Now, this person is 7 years down, and they've obviously earned the right to ask for more money because they've done a good job and they've been working for 7 years, right? But that company says, no, we asked you for, if you, we were supposed to talk about money 2 years ago, but you didn't ask for more money.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, but I need it now. Like, I need this new money now. And they're like, well, and then that person's like, well, but you paid John, you're paying John way more than me and he's new. And they're just like, well, he asked for more. I can't get my head, I don't know, maybe it's immature. Maybe it's me being so like utopian sometimes where it's just like, but we should just be people and we should just come together. But it's like, how do you not appreciate that person that's putting all that time in? Shit. Saved you some money 2 years ago because it didn't ask for a raise or big raise, but now it's wanting to come and things are going on. And just because you pay somebody else more money because they asked for it, you can't see that person needs the same and they put more years in, that consideration. But people from the other side would be like, the world is not fair. The world is what it is. You gotta ask for what you want and you gotta take what you can. And it's like, it's tough. It's tough because you want to be considerate, right? But you want people to be considerate of you as well. But sometimes you can't even be considerate because you can't be considerate of others at times because when that time comes for you that you're asking for that grace, you won't get that grace,
Yeah.
So it's tough.
It is.
It's something that I don't know. I kind of went off a tangent, but we were talking about war and peace.
No, I mean, it's the same thing, right? But just to drop on what you said, there's this statement, I don't know, is it by Wayne, one of his music, he said, closed mouths never get fed, never make no money.
That's true, yeah.
And to back it up again, the Bible says... feelings will lead you to the poorhouse. Exactly. And again, maybe from a Christian perspective, God blesses you only if you ask. There's ask and you shall receive.
You ask and you shall receive.
So sometimes you need to really ask.
Yeah, it's true. Even if it's a no, but you'll never know if you don't go.
Exactly. Because it's very difficult to read the mind of a person. We're not magicians.
Yeah. For me, after that long spiel, like I've learned to ask. Like I ask, and this is why I also take risk, and I'm quite fearless because I learned this early on. If you don't ask, don't be looking at the next person. Don't be checking the next person's pockets.
Yeah.
If you want that, then ask for it, right?
Yeah.
But it's tough for me to see it from someone outside looking in because it's like, damn, that person might be missing out on something, or that person just doesn't have that with them yet to ask, and they're obviously getting taken advantage of.
Yeah.
So that's tough. It's tough to see. I'm not saying that that's my experience right now, but seeing it's quite tough.
But I also feel like people that are taking advantage of such people, they are quite aware. They do know that this person is humble, is a do it all, never asks. Most of the time, people like that are taken advantage of.
Yes.
And the people, they do know that they are exploiting that person.
Agree.
Because they see it and they say, oh, I'm going to try to use this person as much as I can benefit from him. And after that, or them. And after that, I dump them.
Yeah.
So, but there are people out there that have these kind of people that are so submissive, but they do reward them. They give them their rewards at the end of the day. We see it, they are rewarded like very, very well. Was there? I think it also depends on the people. I think that for me, 80% of the people on earth are greedy.
Yeah,
quite greedy people. Everyone is so it's just 20% that are really more genuine with their feelings. There's this thing that you mentioned about you were partaking in some kind of Afro like gigs, not Afro. You partaking in gigs in Poland. You were doing some events.
Yes. So my, I guess you can say, entertainment history is when I was in Poland. I was okay. Let's rewind. Rewind a couple of years back. So my first official, I guess you can say, acting and model gig and experience was when I was in Prague, Czech Republic, and I did a commercial for Skoda.
Yeah.
And when I did this was right after I was like, dang, okay, I'm doing football here. What else could I do? What else could I do in Europe? You know. So long story short, I looked up a photographer in the city. I found a student who was a photography student. We took some test photos, which were like not the best photos, but they were good enough for me to send them out to these agencies. I got a few hits, you know, for me not being a model at all, just a football player who, you know, was trying to figure out something out. I met some agencies, didn't sign with some of the agencies because they were trying to jerk me, like take 35%, you know, so it's like, nah. So I found this casting agency that would just let people come in and audition for movies or commercials. So I did this, got a role in a Skoda commercial. I was like, all right, cool. I went home. I signed a contract to go to Warsaw. And when I got to Warsaw, I was literally telling everybody that I want to be in movies and I want to be an actor and I want to be a model. So this is why I also talk about like being positive all the time. I really like going to do what you want to do, because when you put that energy out there, it really comes back to you. So interestingly enough, the ear that heard this information and helped me get into this new experience was on my football team. Shout out to Pablo, all right, and Woody. Shout out to Woody. We they secretly signed me up to be a part of Polish Next Top Model Poland, like America's Next Top Model, but they had a Polish edition. And it was like it was like top rated TV show in the country. So I was on this TV show and I gained this following. I gained this popularity being a Black American football player who didn't speak any Polish on this Polish model TV show, right? And I was like, I was thick. My biceps was big, my chest was big, my legs were huge, and they were on the panelists were like, one, why do you want to be a model, and how do you think you can be a model with your dimensions? You know, this is when I started to learn all about dimensions and the way you're supposed to be. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, I don't know, you see it. So the initial proposition for me was like, we want you to go on this show and speak about football. Try to be an ambassador for the sport to let people know more about American football in Poland. And I was like, all right, perfect. Like that's a great approach. Little did I know that this TV show wanted someone like me to be on their show. We're good? Okay. Wanted someone like me to be on their show. So I got casted to be on the show. And this took off. I was almost a finalist. I was like a semi-finalist. I was almost a finalist. Gained a really big following, gained a popularity amongst the city where I was like going to H&M and I had a line of students and people wanted me to sign their autograph and stuff like this. And that's the last time I went to Arcadia Mall. I was like quite popular. I was quite famous. So with that, you know, people started to reach out to me to do collaborations and projects and things of this nature. And I was like, all right, cool, boom. So that happened. I was doing all these things. And then a very famous club that was running back then, I don't know if it's there now, but it was called Sketch Night. And this was like this new spot at that time that was really trying to bring in like hip hop culture and the new wave of hip hop, I guess you could say, right? And they asked me to come be one of their promoters. And I was like, all right. So I went there one night and I saw that the top floor of this hip hop club had like their celebrities and the people going to it, right? But all the like real hip hop heads were on the bottom floor, right? And I was like, okay. So then I went again and I saw the same thing. Like all the real hip hop heads was in the space where it wasn't the VIP section. So when these people asked me to do parties, I was like, all right. When I'm in the VIP section now, because you asked me to do this, we got to change things. if you're really trying to make hip hop, this space be like a hip hop spot, then we have to understand what it means to be hip hop now. And this is when like Jay-Z was starting to come out with like Change Clothes and Go, and what was that? What was that song?
Which of his albums?
Damn! I can't think of it off the top of my head. But in the music video, they were in suits and they were
the
champagne
black suits and white.
Yeah. P Diddy was out with Ciroc and he was coming out Ciroc Boys and he had suits and stuff like this. I was like, this is how hip hop should look, right? So when we do my parties, and we're gonna call them Whyte Night, right? Because it's kind of ominous, and my last name is Whyte, and it's kind of like catchy, you know.
I like it.
Let's do Whyte Night, all right? But when we do Whyte Night, we gotta come with the best DJs in the city that do the hip hop the right way, modern music on top of the charts and everything like this. And people have to come dressed up like you see in these videos. Because hip hop was now being synonymous with posh and high life and high fashion and stuff like that. So people gotta come dressed correct. And when we did that at Sketch Night, it changed the whole like landscape. Because they was like, you want to do hip hop, but you want people to come in suits and stuff like that? I was like, yeah. So now you got the good music that's popping, and then you got the good looking people that's popping, of course, and you bring it together, and it's gonna be a smash. And it was a smash. We went from the first party that I did was like this, what was the movie called? Compton, the story of NWA. Straight out of Compton, right? My first party at Sketch Night was a Straight Outta Compton theme, and we were dressed in like Raiders jerseys, black and white. I was Dr. Dre, my friend was Eazy-E. It was like we did a skit of when Eazy-E was in the booth and he's like cruising down the street in my 6'4". We did that skit, right? For like a promotion of the party, and I was like, nah, we can't do this. We got to do what hip hop is right now. So I was like, all right, the next one, put me on the banner in a suit. My face, and it's Whyte Night. It's not Straight Outta Compton. And they're like, I don't know. And when we did that, it was popping. The dudes was like, okay, we dressed up. The girls were like, okay, the dudes are dressed up, so we coming. And then the dudes were like, okay, the girls are there dressed up, so now we coming. You know, so it was just it was a great thing. It was a great moment. And you could just see like in the landscape, more clubs are doing the same thing, having hip hop being played and people being dressed up and looking nice and looking good. And, you know, when that, after some time, you know, the people that I knew in the city, we started to do our own little thing called the concept events. And we would have, you know, we would buy out a restaurant, a space, and like have our DJs come in and stuff like this. And it was a good time. It was a really good time. Warsaw is a great spot for the nightlife. Afrobeats, after a few years, Afrobeats started to come in. And, you know, I haven't been in a couple of years, but the Afrobeat scene is heavy, is dope out there. The vibe is perfect for it. The Latin, you have Latin heavy vibe out there with the Teatro Cubano, and then you have like the Afrobeat spot. And it hits. It really hits. My first time really being engaged in the Afrobeat party was in Warsaw, the first time in Warsaw. And it's just like, when I hear Afrobeats, it just does something to me, like in my body. And I'm sure it's a lot of people, but for me, I love music and I feel really connected to it. So it was definitely a good time, you know. So with that being said, you know, I'm looking to, you know, meet people like yourself to ultimately try to recreate something of the sorts in, you know, in a space like this, because I think it's good to have. It's good to have an option to vibe out with people, collaborate with people, listen to good music, invite people from outside the city to come to the city and, you know, share and, you know, try, you know, just put out new things, you know. So this is why, you know, we spoke about this too. And it's a good thing. It was a good experience for me. Ultimately, it took a stop. I decided to leave Poland for various reasons, some personal, some mostly personal. You know, I thought it was my time to take a next step and see more of the world. You know, I eventually was able to go to Japan, which was like a dream come true. And, you know,
Yeah.
No, I'm just, I'm on my path. I'm on my journey, and things that don't leave you, that's how you understand what is supposed to be with you, and what are you supposed to follow, and what are you supposed to really kind of like build off of. And that's arts, that's the fashion, that's the nightlife, that's collaborating with people, building things, doing this podcast stuff
Yeah.
now. It's the new frontier. And me knowing myself more, and me being more kind of in tune with myself. Not that I wasn't back then, but I was sidelined, knowing knowing what I know now is going to help me, go to the next level and do what I love to do, and that's fellowship, and that's create good vibes, and that's create
Exactly.
nice things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Like just on what you mentioned, as we discussed previously, and I'm just gonna announce it here because it's a good information. Dre and I were discussing. We're still going to announce the date anyway. We want to put it out there for, we want to do something for the for the black community. I don't want to say African black community, and for us, by us, this is for anyone that is doing something, whether it's working or is in a creative field, or they're entertainers, or they are doing anything that is positive. If there are people out there that want to network and streamline to see what everyone is doing, or and collaborate, we want to send out this information out there. Um, let's come together. We're still gonna announce the dates.
Yes.
I don't know when, but we'll find a spot. We'll send out the details. Let's meet up and network. But they say at the end of the day, networking is your net worth.
Network is your net worth. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So
Yes, sir.
so there was there's this friend of mine. Shout out to Bo. She brought up this initiative. She has been in the IT field. Me as well. I'm in the IT field. So we are strong in IT related corporations. And sometimes I feel like there are a lot of people that are very lost, like they don't know where to get the right information, and finding information is very important for your movements.
Right.
Everything you want to do. There are people out there that want to do things, they want to collaborate, they want to work, they are looking for companies, but and having these opportunities and finding these opportunities or finding this information is lacking. It would be nice to have some kind of a forum.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
because I mean, from Mondays to Fridays, most people they go to work and they hardly have time for themselves or have times to meet other people. It would be nice just to relax,
Sure.
come somewhere, meet your peers or people in your same field in different corporations.
Yeah.
And get to know people on a personal level. It would be nice.
It would be nice.
Yeah,
Sure.
we should definitely have to put that date out and do it. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, so we plan definitely to do more of these episodes. We'll come together, and we'll let you guys know what those dates and those locations are, and we'll definitely want to bring everybody together. I'm in the market. I'm in the space of doing this, so definitely put something together and reaching out to all you, not even whoever is black, but whoever wants to engage and people of like mind and want to create and collaborate and build something or help somebody build something. We're definitely reaching out to you as well. So let's do that.
Exactly. Anyone that is in the field of creating. Thank you very much. Yeah. So I mean, we're gonna come up with the dates and we'll put it out there.
Cool.
Because there's work to be done. We have to grind.
We'll get it. We'll make it happen. Though.
Yeah,
we'll
for
make
sure,
it happen.
man. So, man, I mean, we're coming to the end of this beautiful session once again. For some reasons, I really hate endings.
You can leave it as an open ending. You can have an open ending, like see you later. No.
Okay, I mean,
it's up to you though.
I mean, it would be an honor for you to do the ending.
Okay, so we wanna thank you all for listening. It's Mufassah and Dre. It's the King and Dre, or the Dre and the King, and we appreciate you guys listening. Stay tuned for the next episodes, and we wish you all the best. Have a safe weekend, and we'll see you later for sure.
Thank you very much.
How'd that sound?
We'll see you later,
Cool.
definitely.
All right, guys. I appreciate you, man.
Sure, man.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Peace.
Peace. And cut. We lost one camera.
Yeah. At one point.
Damn, we lost the camera.